Today my wife is angry, forced me for divorce. Today the woman I love looked into my eyes and said she wanted a divorce. In that moment, my world felt like it had fallen apart. But was this really the end of our story? Or was there a hidden truth waiting to be revealed? Stay with me until the end, because this emotional journey is about love, forgiveness, second chances, and a decision that changed two lives forever. Today began like any other morning, but before the sun had fully risen, I realized something was different. The house felt unusually quiet. The cheerful conversations we normally shared were replaced with silence, and I could sense that something was weighing heavily on my wife's heart. When we finally sat down to talk, she looked at me with tired eyes and said she wanted a divorce. For a moment, I couldn't find the right words. It wasn't because I wanted to argue, it wasn't because I wanted to prove I was right. It was because I suddenly understood how important honest communication truly is. Sometimes relationships do not become difficult because love disappears. Sometimes they become difficult because small misunderstandings remain unspoken until they grow into heavy burdens. As I listened carefully, I realized that she wasn't asking me to fight. She wanted to be heard. She wanted her feelings to matter. That moment taught me one of the greatest lessons of my life. Listening is sometimes more powerful than speaking. Many of us spend too much time preparing our next answer instead of truly understanding the person sitting in front of us. Real communication begins when we stop trying to win an argument and start trying to understand each other. I took a deep breath and simply said, "Please tell me how you feel." I promised to listen without interrupting. Those simple words changed the atmosphere completely. For the first time in a long while, we had an honest conversation. She explained that it was not one single event that had hurt her, it was many small moments, busy schedules, missed conversations, unspoken expectations, days when we forgot to appreciate each other. As I listened, I realized that relationships are like gardens. If they are watered with kindness, patience, gratitude, and respect, they continue to grow beautifully. But if we become too busy to care for them, even the strongest garden begins to lose its color. That day reminded me that saying I love you is important, but showing love through actions is even more important. Helping each other, listening without judgment, respecting each other's uh, feelings, expressing gratitude for the little things. These everyday actions quietly build trust. I also learned another valuable lesson. Apologizing does not always mean you are completely wrong. Sometimes it simply means the relationship matters more than your pride. Those words changed the way I looked at life. Instead of asking who is right, I started asking how can we understand each other better. That single question opened the door to a calmer conversation. We both realized that every relationship faces challenges. No marriage is perfect, no family is free from misunderstandings, but every difficulty becomes easier when two people choose patience over anger, respect over blame, and honest conversation over silence. As the evening arrived, neither of us had solved every problem, but something important had changed. We had begun listening to each other again, and sometimes that first step is the beginning of healing. My hope is that anyone listening to this story remembers one important lesson. Never let small misunderstandings grow into large distances. Speak kindly, listen sincerely, respect each other's feelings, express appreciation often, because healthy relationships are built not through perfection but through consistent kindness, honest communication, forgiveness, and mutual respect. Sometimes the strongest marriages are not the ones that never face difficulties, they are the ones where both people continue choosing each other with patience, understanding, and hope, one day at a time. That night, after our conversation ended, neither of us spoke for several minutes. The silence felt different. It was no longer filled with anger, it was filled with reflection. For the first time in a long while, we were not trying to prove who was right. We were trying to understand what had gone wrong. I sat alone and thought about every small moment that had slowly created distance between us. It was never one big mistake. It was the little things, the conversations we postponed, the appreciation we forgot to express, the busy days that became busy weeks, the smiles we assumed would always be there. That evening taught me that relationships are strengthened by attention, just as a plant needs water every day. Love needs kindness every day. It needs respect every day. It needs patience every day. The next morning, I decided not to begin with excuses. Instead, I began with gratitude. I thanked her for every sacrifice she had made that I had overlooked. I thanked her for standing beside me during difficult times. I thanked her for believing in our family even when life became challenging. She listened quietly. There were tears in her eyes, not because every problem had disappeared, but because appreciation has the power to soften even the hardest moments. As we continued talking, we made an important promise. We would never allow silence to replace communication again. If something hurt us, we would speak honestly. If something made us happy, we would celebrate it together. If we disagreed, we would discuss the problem instead of attacking each other. That promise became a new beginning. I also realized another important lesson. Marriage is not about finding a perfect partner, it is about two imperfect people choosing to grow together, learning together, forgiving together, improving together. Every day gives us another um, opportunity to become better. Husbands, better wives, better friends, and better human beings. My wife shared something that stayed with me forever. She said, I never wanted a perfect life. I only wanted to know that my feelings mattered. Those words changed my heart. Sometimes people are not asking us to solve every problem. Sometimes they simply want to feel heard, to feel respected, to know they are valued. That understanding transformed the way I viewed relationships. Before speaking, I learned to listen. Before judging, I learned to ask questions. Before reacting, I learned to pause. These small habits created peace where arguments once existed. As another evening arrived, we sat together and watched the sunset. Nothing extraordinary happened. There were no dramatic speeches, no perfect ending. Only two people choosing to rebuild trust, one conversation at a time, and perhaps that is how every lasting relationship grows. Not through one grand moment, but through thousands of small moments filled with honesty, patience, gratitude, and kindness. Before ending this chapter, I want to share one lesson with everyone listening. If someone you love is hurting, do not rush to defend yourself. Listen first, understand first, show compassion first, because understanding someone's heart is often the first step toward healing a relationship. Life will always bring challenges, but when respect remains stronger than pride and love is guided by patience and honesty, even the most difficult chapters can become the beginning of a brighter future. Sometimes the strongest relationships are not those that never face storms. They are the ones that learn how to hold each other's hands while walking through them together. The following morning felt different. The problems had not disappeared overnight, but something important had changed inside both of us. We had decided that instead of letting anger guide our decisions, we would let honesty guide our conversations. As we shared breakfast, we spoke more openly than we had in months. There was no shouting, there was no blame, only two people trying to understand each other. That simple change reminded me that peace often begins with one calm conversation. My wife smiled gently and said, I don't need a perfect husband. I need a partner who listens. Those words stayed in my heart. I realized that love is not about always having the perfect answer. Sometimes love is simply sitting beside someone and letting them know their feelings matter. That day we made a list of small promises. We promised to spend time together every day, even if only for a few minutes. We promised never to let busy schedules become more important than our relationship. We promised to say thank you more often. We promised to apologize sincerely whenever we made mistakes, and we promised to solve problems together instead of seeing each other as the problem. Those promises were simple, but simple promises kept every day become powerful as the weeks passed, I noticed many positive changes. Our conversations became warmer. Our home became more peaceful. We laughed more often. We appreciated the little moments we had once ignored. I discovered that happiness is rarely uh, found in dramatic events. It lives in everyday kindness. A warm greeting, a shared meal, a supportive word after a difficult day, a quiet walk together in the evening. These ordinary moments slowly became our greatest treasures. My wife also reminded me of something I will never forget. She said, when people stop competing against each other and start working together, relationships become stronger. She was right. Marriage is not about winning arguments, it is about protecting the bond that two people have built together. Every disagreement became an opportunity to learn. Every challenge became a chance to grow. Every misunderstanding became a reason to communicate more honestly. Slowly, trust returned. Not because everything became perfect, but because we were both willing to keep improving. As